If you could encapsulate some of the words or phrases that summarize some of the things that happened this week. Wow, what a week, you know? How many of you got like your census form in the mail this week? Anybody? No one else got it? I got a letter in the mail, and it told me how to fill it out online. But there's one over. You got it? Yeah. So the census, once every 10 years, it started. Hallelujah. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to fill out a census. It helps on many, many different levels. Other things that happened this week. Purim. Purim, yeah. And Purim seems like months ago, you know what I mean? Doesn't it seem like months and months ago? Craziness, right? But the thing about an all-consuming illness, like a plague kind of on our land, and the reminder over and over again to wash your hands. If you don't, you'll die. Wash your hands that you don't die. Well, those sum up some of the phrases from this week, and every single one of them was in the 10 or 11 sentences that I read in this week's Torah portion. Isn't that interesting? Once every 10 years. So it starts off, when you take a census of the Israelite people. It's interesting, right? We're supposed to give a half a shekel that there may be no plague that comes upon them, to avert a plague that is going to come upon, that might come upon us if we don't do that right, if we don't do the shekel right. And then listen to this. Afterwards, we're talking about making something in that portable temple, the tent of meeting that we had when we were in the desert. It says, make a sink of copper and a stand of copper for it for washing, and put water in it. And let Aaron and his sons wash their hands and feet with water from it. When they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water. Wait a sec, that's the third time it says wash, that they may not die. Or when they approach the altar to serve, to turn the smoke from an offering by fire to the Eternal, they shall wash their hands. That's the fourth time it says wash your hands and feet, that they may not die. It shall be a law for all time, throughout the ages, even now. 4 times wash your hands. How many of you have been told 4 times this week to wash your hands? At least 4 times, right? It's crazy. Mindy showed me something she got in the email. It says Passover 2020. You know, for Passover it says Kadesh Urchatz Karpahas Yachatz Magid Matzah Motzi Matzah. You know, the Rachsa Motzi Matzah. So those are the different things that you do in the Passover Seder. Kadesh, you do the blessing of the wine. Urchatz is wash. This one had Kadesh Urchatz, Karpahas Urchatz. Every other one was Urchatz, was wash your hands, throughout the listing, which I thought added a little bit of humor to it. I think there's something crazy relevant about this. It's like this has been sitting there in this week's Torah portion for thousands of years, just waiting for this particular week, when the census begins, when there's a possibility of a plague, when over and over and over we're told to wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands. It's right in there. It makes me think that some other things about our teachings are relevant. I know that there are a lot of people who are in all different levels of scared right now. For most people, most Tochesaf and Tish, most people, regardless of what they do, are not going to get this disease. They're not. And most of the people who get the disease, 80% of them, it'll be a mild case. 20% it'll be serious. A few, and mostly those who have compromised health on one level or another, it might be fatal for. But for most people, it's not like this disease turns people into zombies and they're going to start eating everyone else's flesh. But there's something real about it. I know people who are who bought stuff to board up their windows for fear that there's going to be such runs on everything. It's going to be so bad that there's going to be rioting in the streets. And they're scared, silly. I know a lot of other people that are trying desperately to get supplies that they need or they think they need. Mindy's the mistress of the emails. She got an email from someone asking the question. It says, how do you turn cauliflower into toilet paper? Because you couldn't get toilet paper. And so the focus is, how can I be safe? How can I protect myself? How can I protect my family? How can I do this? How can I do that? And ironically, and this is one of the teachings of our faith, the more you focus on yourself, the more scared you are. The more you focus on, what am I going to do just for me, the more scared you become. And when you reach out to others, you become a lot less scared. It's like Scott Glick, our Gabbai here. When he gives a blessing to other people, goodness flows through him on a level that might not have been matched any other time this week. It's amazing to be a Gabbai, to give other people a blessing is amazing. If you can do things to think of other people, that would be amazing. So they closed the senior center. So all those people who look forward every week to companionship, to coming together and sharing a meal, or they only like to play cards because it gets them together with other people. What are they doing now? What are they doing? Can you call the town and say, this is my phone number. If someone wants to talk, why don't you connect them with me? I'm happy to just sit and talk with them. Maybe you go and visit. I don't know. Maybe not. And what? If they're over 70, don't go visit. What are you, a nurse or something? Something like that. That's Kelly, our nurse. It's her first time here. We're happy to have you here. But call them up. Let them know. Well, who are the people that are most effective? Are there people in quarantine? I heard about someone who went to, there's big Jewish quarantine centers in and around New York City. And one of them was a Jewish area. And one guy walked into a essentially vacant Jewish kosher restaurant. Why would anyone go out to eat? And he gave thousands of dollars and said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to make food and drop it off at the quarantine center. Good food, kosher food for him. That makes you a lot less scared when you do stuff like that. You got to be creative, but I don't want you being scared. I want to save your soul and save the souls of other people. Pikuach nefesh, not just save your bodies. How are we going to do that? How are we going to be creative? I started something 5 at 5. Again, guess whose idea it was? How did you know? She came up with this idea. She said, you know what? If people are shut in, they need to be connected. So every 5 o'clock, but not tomorrow, because it's Shabbos. But every 5 o'clock, I'll do it for the next few days and we'll see how it goes. I'll share 5 minutes online live stream. You can see it afterwards if you're not there at 5 o'clock. 5 minutes of updates and a little Jewish insight. And end. That's it. Just hello, we miss you, we're thinking of you. I do a prayer of healing at the end. I said that I will, if I get 5 people responding to it, then I'll do it the next day. So the first day was yesterday. and we got 200 people, which was something, and it reached 400 people. So we did it today, and we got 5 responses, so I'll do it on Sunday, and if I get 5 responses, I'll do it on Monday. And if it's interesting, right? So if you've got something that you want to go out to our congregation, you want me to include it, just let me know. Because it's one thing to be sick with an illness. It's another thing to be sick with fear. And that way you live the sickness even before it even gets to you. I don't want to be sick with fear. I don't want to do stupid things. Like everyone that danced, we'll wash our hands afterwards. I don't want to do stupid things. But I don't want to bring any illness to the soul. I want to try as hard as we can to bring people together in ways that are responsible, because God knows we're going to need it, and if this continues on for some time. I'm going to share just a thought. It's not all doom and gloom. Can you imagine all those families with all those kids which are so over-programmed? The parents hardly see the kids. What are they going to do now that the kids are home and the parents are home and the daycares are filled? What in the world are they going to do? They might get to know each other. Isn't that interesting? And if you don't get to know each other, all the people on your block, you might get to know the people on your block. And I maintain the best way to prepare for any impending disaster is to be friendly with the people you live with and you live next to. That's a wonderful way to prepare for any disaster. Be friendly with them. Know them. Know who they are. Talk with them. I have a sneaking suspicion that if we're not scared too much, an awful lot of good can come out of this. With that